Hello again and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to be covering all my completed works and whips for December 2021, and I'm actually quite proud of myself for how much I have colored in December, considering I haven't been feeling very well this month, and also all the going-ons with Christmas holidays and festivities. So to have been able to have colored the amount that I have colored in has been really encouraging. So I'm going to show you first up with Creative Haven, because I have a lot to talk about with this Enchanted Christmas set of book, well, this Enchanted Christmas book. I didn't notice it initially. I had colored in November the gingerbread house, and I used Prismacolors and found it had been fine. But as I continued coloring in this book, I then started to find a few things were a bit different, and the paper quality started to bother me. I also went on and stumbled on a YouTube video where another person was coloring in Enchanted Christmas and was testing their various pencil sets, and started to say that Prismacolor polychromos don't work very well on this particular paper. And if I understand it correctly, they published Enchanted Christmas on a different paper than what they used for Country Gardens or Country Charm and some of the older Teresa Goodrich Creative Haven books. So having not much experience with Creative Haven or Teresa Goodrich, I hadn't noticed very much the changes in the paper quality. So after watching this person's YouTube video, I then became aware of how much the paper wasn't really working very well for me. So this page I did in November, and didn't notice anything. It was all done with Prismacolors, and it was fine. Like I said, I didn't notice anything. I then went to do this page, and I also went to do the same page here because it's the same picture, and I followed coloring with Elena, her tutorial for this picture, and I interpreted back onto here. Now when I started with the background, and I just layered the pencil on here, and I layered the pencil here, and I decided on this page I wanted to bring in a bit more purples, and so I began layering up. And this was around the time where I started playing with solvents, specifically the solvents I have at home in my painting box. So several years ago my husband bought me a kit, a Winsor Newton kit of oil paints and brushes, and in the box came two solvents. One was a more of a spirits type solvent, and the other was more of an oil to varnish oil painting. So I tested them and found that they worked quite well, and I preferred the mineral spirits type solvent over the oil based, just because I didn't want to coat my pages with anything oily, and I preferred the vibrancy I got from it. So I used the solvent on the background, and it blended really well. Maybe that's why I didn't notice anything. And I carried on with the snow, and I did find I had to work quite hard to get the snow to blend. And that was when I came and started doing this page, and I worked the two pages together, and I started to see that especially when I just placed the ultramarine and the deep indigo, or was it the violet blue? Anyway, the two colors for the sky, I started to see that they weren't blending really well, and I had to use quite a hard pressure to get the color onto the paper. And somewhere between all of this, I decided to go to one of my other pages, and I wanted to test my castle arts. So I got the castle arts and I tested them here, and if you look at it up close, it hasn't actually blended really well. It's over here, it's all really gross and dirty. I put some grays over it to give it a bit of a weathered look, but even here it's not blending at all. So I realized castle arts wasn't going to work in this book. I then I abandoned that page because, you know, Prismacolor sort of worked, not very well, and castle arts is a no-no. What else could I do? And I returned to my whip here, and in this whip I used watercolors as a base on the sky, the birdhouse, the leaves, the berries, and I was using Prismacolor to build up the leaves, and I really am proud of how they worked. And I don't know if the watercolor paint changed the way the prisms behaved on the paper, because I did find it a bit easier. And when I got my polychromos, I tried to build up the house, and it was like coloring on granite or marble. I just could, the polychromos just slides, and yes, it does put down a pigment, but there's this sliding feeling going on while you're coloring, and it just felt absolutely awful. So I'm going to have to finish this page with Prismacolors, because the castle arts isn't going to work, and neither is the polychromos. I can try the set of Arteses I have, and maybe they will help me out a bit, but I'll have to test that. So that's what I have to say about the paper quality. On the other hand, I used gold acrylic paints to do the border, and Prismacolors for the rest, with a bit of white Uniball Signo pen and white jelly roll. And I changed the colors I used on the scarf and the snowman's vest, whereas in the tutorial I followed, or the color along, she used brighter greens, and I didn't want such a bright green. I wanted a different green. And then I worked on the bunnies, and when I came to the bigger picture, instead of creating it differently, I just wanted to do 2 pages at the same time. And again, I used the same pencils, same set, so whatever I did on this page that mirrored the title page, I just copied it. So here you can see that I did red baubles, and I made robins, and I carried on with the bunnies. My apples just they always tend to be more orange than red. I think this is the best red apple I've done. The rest look more like oranges, but hi-ho, not much we can do. Overall, yeah, it was a fun picture. It was relatively easy to color, and if I had sat down and done it in a few days, it would have been complete quite quickly. But yeah, so that is what I have to say about Enchanted Christmas coloring book by Teresa Goodrich. Next up we have Coloring Heaven Cutie Christmas Special. This is issue 68 for 2020, and in here I have completed The Christmas Mouse in the Mitten, which I started in July and finally finished here, and is my first complete color along series of videos. So big shout out to all of you who colored along with me. Thank you so much. And I used Prismacolors, white jelly roll, and neo colors for the backgrounds. So I'm very, very chuffed, and I think he's super cute. And again, the background idea I got from a video I saw on Coloring with Elena's channel. So that is my completed works in Cutie Christmas special. Next up I have Twilight Garden by Maria Trolle. There's a bit of a debate going on at the moment about whether you pronounce her name Maria Trolle or Maria Troll. I think it's Maria Trolle, but I don't really know for sure. Anyways, I came back to my blue rose, which is lost. Oh dear. There we go. So I came back to my blue rose. I did do a video showing you how I colored in the blue rose. Not so much the rest of the picture, just the rose head. And I didn't know how I was going to do the background. I was concerned that if I put too many colors, it would spoil the picture. It also didn't, the picture itself feels a little bit disjointed, so I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And I spoke to a very, very good friend of mine, and she suggested a frame. And at first I had thought of doing a sort of arched frame, but in the end I decided to do just standard frames and just frame it. And I used the same color as the leaves over here. And although it's really simple, I think it's one of those cases where simplicity is king, and it really works with this picture and just pulls everything together without ruining the beauty of the rose and the flowers itself. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this one. And I've already gone back to this whip. Here I'm using polychromos on top of watercolor. The watercolor I used was Castle Arts, and I'm just trying to develop the picture. So hopefully in the next month or two I will have this page completed as well. So that is my completed works and whips for Maria Trolle's Twilight Garden. And then finally I have Coloring Heaven Mermaid Special, and this is the 71 issue, and I have 2 completed works in this book. My first one is this beautiful picture. I love Anastasia Koldareva's drawings. It's just absolutely stunning, and I really wanted to color this picture. And what I really wanted to do was put them in a snow globe, but the picture's too big for my idea, so I can't really turn it into a snow globe. And then I thought, well, maybe I should do them red and green so I could do it at Christmas. In the end, I got gifted my polychromo set with love from me and my husband to me, and I immediately came to this page and decided it would be a great way to test the polychromos and get a feel for them. And I did find the polychromos works quite well on this paper. I found with the Twilight Garden it's even better than on this paper, that you need less effort. And what I did is I layered the skin, then I went over it with that mineral spirit solvent, and then I did another layer, and I'm very happy with the depth of tone I'm getting here. I do think I could possibly build it up more, but for now I'm really pleased with it. It was also a great way of doing the hair, because this drawing is quite small and the hair needs a really, really sharp point. I knew polychromos being an oil-based pencil would work better for me than the Prismacolors. And I also brought in some blue into her hair and some green into his. just to connect their mermaid theme. On the tails, I did the tails as the same as the skin, built up the layers, went over it with a solvent, and tried to keep that highlight line going on both their tails. And I got inspiration for the mermaids from Pinterest. I just looked up Pinterest photos, mermaid photos, and I saw a beautiful mermaid with this color scheme where it's more orange and green and a lot of white. Now, in the original photo, the mermaid has more white in the fins than I've done, but it was my inspiration for the color combination I've got going on here, and I'm really, really proud of how it's come out. I think it's really pretty, and definitely a combination I want to revisit. And then same for the mermaid. I found a purple mermaid on Pinterest, and I used that as inspiration for the girl. And the background was also another Pinterest mermaid picture. And what I wanted to do was illustrate the different layers of the ocean, because you have your twilight zone where, sorry, not your twilight, your sunlight zone where there's most of the sun is hitting the water, and you've got your algae growing and most of your fish and plant and corals and that sort of thing. And then you go further down and you get your midnight zone. And then here I wanted a bit of Prussian blue just to illustrate that we were heading into that midnight twilight zone. And also they're floating in the water, they're not on the ground at all, so I wanted to illustrate the various depths of the water around them. So I'm proud of myself for stepping out of my comfort zones, trying new things, and I used Dovecraft 3D Pearl Effects for the bubbles, and glitter glue, Dovecraft glitter glue for the tails. So I'm very, very pleased with this one. And the next picture I did, sorry guys, I'm just trying to find it. Here it is. So I colored this page with my mom. She and I worked together on the palette, and the same colors I used, she used. We used Castle Arts, Castle Arts to do this page, and then we used Prismacolors for the pearls, just because I knew that the Prismacolors had the better blend of pastels and grays we would need to get the effects of the pearls. I did watch a couple of YouTube videos to see how we could go about creating realistic pearls, and then we used mango pastels for the background and a white Uniball Signo pen for the highlights. And I think she's really, really pretty, and I'm so proud of my mom. And she did a great job on her version. Her hair came out much darker than mine, but it was a lovely way to just spend some time together. And it took us about 9 months to do, but we got it. And I did have to tell myself not to go over the skin and build it up, but to just leave it completely as it was. And I think it's got a beautiful balance. So yeah, that's what we've been coloring for December. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe, like, or comment below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.